Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 155 of my brand new Comics Haul series, where I show you guys all the new books that I pick up at my LCS every week. Really strong week of books here. I think I have 9 issues in total, so let's just get right into it here with Marvel. One of their biggest releases this week was Ultimate Black Panther number 3. Any Ultimate Universe title that comes out these days, X-Men, Black Panther, or Spider-Man, it's all going to be a big deal, right? They announced that Ultimates is coming out soon, the team book. So they're really just recreating all these old teams and characters that were already established in the previous Ultimate Universe, but with a totally new spin on it. I'm enjoying Spider-Man a lot. At first I wasn't. I thought it was a little bit boring, but I think that one has really picked up. Black Panther, on the other hand, I feel like is maybe the weaker title. I haven't tried out X-Men because I've heard some kind of conflicting things about that one. So let me know which ones you're reading in the comments if you're still keeping up with Ultimate Universe. It definitely is worth getting for speculation reasons. I feel like each issue is getting like 3 or 4 printings as they're coming out and, spike up with prices on eBay and everything. The artwork in this, I will say, is pretty good, but I think it just doesn't differentiate enough from the regular Marvel Universe Black Panther story to justify buying it every month. It's also really sparse on dialogue, so just a lot of things that are a red flag for me in comics, but I might be dropping this one, but we'll see. Next up from Marvel, we got another event comic. This one is Fall of the House of X number 4. So this series is almost over. There's just going to be one more issue. And then they announced recently that X-Men number 35, which is like legacy numbering number 700, is going to be the conclusion of the Krakoan era. Cool splash page right here with Magneto, I will say. The one thing about this story, this series, I guess, compared to the original House of X, is that the artwork is not quite on the same level as Pepe Larraz. Don't be fooled by him doing the covers. I still think it's good enough. It maybe doesn't quite fit like a big scope comic like this. It's a little bit messy. It's Lucas Werneck, who I think has done a good job on some other Marvel artwork I've seen before, but this might be a little bit too much for him. I'm not sure. At least he's drawing each issue and keeping up with it for the most part. But a lot of big things happening in here. Just all the X-Men assembling for their final last stand against Orcus and the future of mutantdom. And we already know what's happening afterwards. We've gotten all these titles announced for the relaunch that's coming up. We'll see how it all leads into that. I think people are excited for that, maybe a little bit ready for this era to wrap up. But I like that they're doing it in a big climactic fashion like this. Next up, my new favorite title from Marvel, we've got Spectacular Spider-Man number 2. I love that first issue. I really wasn't sure what to expect from it because it's from this writer, Greg Weisman, that I'd never heard of before. I was worried about something like this, such a big title, with 2 of my favorite characters being a letdown, but the artwork, of course, by Humberto Ramos is a given, and then I really liked the writing on the first issue. It's got kind of a lighthearted feel that I feel like is lacking in a lot of modern Marvel comics these days. It even was pretty up to continuity with everything happening, so it's not like one of those titles where they have like an actor come in and write it or whatever, and it's like technically in the main Marvel universe, but it's totally out of continuity and all this stuff doesn't really add up to what's going on in other titles. I'm glad this isn't like that. There's a lot that's happening in Miles and Peter's life that plays into this. It's very current. And obviously amazing artwork. It's just fun to see them teaming up. They have good banter and everything. It's just what you want out of a Spider-Man comic, and having the addition of Miles alongside Peter, I think, is a really strong idea for an ongoing title like this. So biggest recommendation from Marvel right now for sure. Hopefully that second issue holds up to the first and I don't look stupid recommending it. But next up, speaking of Miles Morales, we got his own ongoing series. This is number 19. This is, I think, the last issue of this 3-issue story arc that we've had. That's supposed to be a really big deal, big twists and turns happening in Miles' life. To be honest, I have not read the last couple issues, even that big oversized anniversary issue, so I'm really behind on this series, but we have Federico Vicentini back on here to do the artwork, so that probably means it's a big occasion when we have the main series artist for like 3 issues in a row, like he has been. Miles fighting against Rabble again. She's made her way back and is teaming up with Hobgoblin. Is mostly all that I know at this point. So really cool artwork in here. They're doing like a black and white section. So I'm not sure what the context is behind that. But looking forward to it. I always like creative choices like that. Cody Ziegler doing a great job on this series, and I'm loving just having a solid Miles ongoing series. Feels like not many writers have missed with this character. Saladin Ahmed's run was pretty good too. Next up with Marvel though, this is my last issue I got from them this week. We have Avengers Twilight. This is number 5 of 6, so this series is almost over now. Alex Ross covers are always cool. That's some new version of Hawkeye. In this future of the Marvel Universe that's like an alternate kind of Elseworld tale that's been told across this series. It's Chip Zdarsky. I can see why Marvel would want to get him pretty much anything he can write at this point. Since his Daredevil run wrapped up, he hasn't been working for them as much. He's pretty much fully a DC guy at this point. So it's always cool to have a title from him at Marvel. Honestly, it's been okay. I've only read the first couple issues, so I do have some catching up to do on this one also. But the artwork maybe isn't fully my favorite. I do appreciate a more messy art style like this with some cool colors and everything, but I think Daniel Acuna maybe goes a little bit too like sketchy with it. It's almost hard to look at sometimes, so that's not my favorite element of the series. I know he's like a really established artist, and it's a big deal for him to be drawing a title like this, though. So yeah, we'll see about this one. It's future Captain America. He's old. He's resisting this government that's been imposing upon society, like this fake Avengers team that's just publicized by the media and stuff. It's very dystopian in some ways, but it's cool to see these older versions of the heroes teaming up once again. So yeah, one more issue this one after. I'll be excited to catch up because that one's been pretty good so far. Next up from Image Comics, I've got a few issues from them, starting off with Moon Man #2. This one has been a long time coming. I think it was supposed to come out like, a month ago or something, but it got pushed back, which makes sense because Kid Cudi is co-writing it. You can always expect that from comics that are by like actors or singers or anybody like that. Like how Berserker took like 3 months to come out with the last few issues, right? But I actually really liked the first issue of this one. I posted a review of it if you want to learn more about this series. It's kind of a basic premise. I guess we've had stuff like this pretty similar before about this astronaut that goes to space and then comes back to Earth with these special powers. There's a little bit more that goes into it with like these protests happening against the company that he works for, which is like a commercial space flight company, kind of like SpaceX. So kind of getting into like some politics of this world as well as just having a cool superhero comic in general. I was a big fan of the artwork on the first issue. I think that's holding up in this second one. It looks like we're maybe getting more of an establishment with the main character's family and everything. Hopefully they have like some kind of recap. It's been a while since that first issue came out, and honestly I'm forgetting a lot of the details. I know some people really didn't like it. It wasn't the best thing for some people, but I did enjoy it, so I'm going to keep giving this series a chance, especially if it's a low investment when it's coming out like every 2 months or whatever. So Moon Man, I did like the first issue. Hopefully that'll continue being a recommendation. Next up from the Energon universe, we have Cobra Commander #4. I'm a little bit behind on Energon Universe 2. I really just got to sit down and read my stack, but this one is centering around one of the main villains of the Cobra side of things, the main G.I. Joe villains. We got the big twist in that first issue that, what's his name? I'm forgetting, but the main Transformers villain, I don't know why I can't remember his name, but has been trapped by the Cobra Society or whatever they're called. I'm struggling here. Honestly, with Energon Universe, with G.I. Joe and Transformers, it's just a lot to keep up with all these different names that are introduced, all these characters that I understand are established, but I've just never read any of the previous stuff from like IDW or any of the other publishers that have put out comics or like any of the shows and movies. Any kind of lore that's been built in this universe has been pretty lost on me. So even though it is a new universe and new established characters and everything, and they're starting fresh, I feel like they maybe are just going a little bit too quickly. For people like me, I understand that's maybe not who these comics are made for, but especially with titles like Transformers and Duke and everything that's come out so far, besides Void Rivals, which is just pretty much its own independent series, there's just too many characters to keep track of. So I'm not sure about this ongoing. That's a really unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people are really loving that universe, but I think that's mostly people that already understood all these characters. Next up, though, I've got a couple titles actually from Spawn's universe, starting with Sam and Twitch, Case Files #2. The first issue was really weird. I was expecting to really not like it, but I ended up thinking it was decent, so I decided to give the second issue a try also. You can see that it has really, really weird lettering, which is a pretty immediate turnoff for me. It doesn't really detract from the story too much, though. It's just kind of distracting, honestly, because it's such a strange style that I'm not, honestly, very big of a fan of. I didn't get used to it in the first issue. I'm not sure if I will in the second either. We do have Simone Kudransky drawing this, though, which is definitely a plus for the series. It is Todd McFarlane writing it, which can sometimes be good. I mean, he has some decent ideas a lot of the time, but I still find his dialogue a little bit hard to get through most of the time, which is strange because he's been writing for a really long time at this point. I think it's just something he likes to do. He likes to have creative control over the titles that he's in charge of, as well as giving writing duties to some of the other Spawn's Universe titles. They're doing a big expansion, though. This is only part of, 5 or 6 other Spawn's Universe titles that are coming out in the next few months. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be here for much of that. I'm not the biggest fan of Spawn stuff in general. I always like to give it a try. I've tried picking up Spawn a couple times, like I am right now, getting to the next issue. This is number 352 of just the main series, but it's never been like my favorite ever. Gunslinger Spawn is a character that I enjoy, but I ended up dropping his series eventually also. It's just kind of hard to take any of it too seriously because it really is just silly superhero stuff. In the same way that a lot of like Marvel and DC things are also, but it feels a little bit less important to be picking up a series when it's just its own universe like this for an independent publisher. It's not like anything happening in Spawn is going to have any kind of ripple effect anywhere except for Spawn's universe, which I guess is building up, so they might be going somewhere with it eventually. It might become a bigger deal, but yeah, I'm not too sure. We do have Brett Booth, though, drawing the series. Starting with number 350, which is the the issue that I picked up back on for Spawn's Universe. And there's interesting stuff happening. It's not the worst title ever, but like I said, definitely not my favorite in the comics industry. So those were all the issues I picked up. One of my biggest weeks in a really long time, so I've got a lot of reading there and some reading to catch up on, so I'll have to get to that probably this weekend. Let me know what you guys picked up, though, down in the comment section below. Which issues are you looking forward to? Let me know if you're still picking up all the Ultimate Universe titles and all that. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.